Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at Earth and Sky. And each of you in the studio, we really appreciate each of you being here, as well as all of you online. Thank you so much. And we always really appreciate it when you subscribe to us on YouTube. That helps us out a lot with what we're trying to do and expanding out to everybody out there, as well as when you like our Facebook page. We really appreciate that as well. Anytime you want to hear or give us suggestions for our live talks or have any feedback for us, that always makes us smile when we get to hear from you as well. I'm Angelica Roth here at Earth and Sky Center, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently than our normal. I prepared this little slideshow as we're going to be talking about 3 really amazing rules and tools that you can have for creating the life that you want. I think sometimes when we talk about things, it can be a little hard to figure out how exactly do we put this into practical advice? How do I make this happen in my regular day-to-day lives? So we're going to give you 3 very specific rules and 3 very specific tools to help you integrate incredible concepts that can be very life-changing and really fundamental concepts. So the first one of these, just getting right on into it, spiritual rule number 1 is to reveal the light, act like the light. And so if you are wanting to have more light in your life, if you're wanting to have more of the ability to create the dreams that you want in your life, and you're wanting to have more ability to manifest those things that you want in your life, and you're wanting things to just start kind of flowing in the way that you really picture in your best life that you possibly could have, the first thing you need to do to reveal the light to come into your life, to illuminate those things for you, is to act like the light. You need to be like the light. So when you are going about your regular day-to-day things, are you acting like the light? When you are at work and you have that coworker that just kind of ticked you off a little bit, did you fall into that and did you end up getting reactive, or were you acting like the light so the light could be revealed in that situation? It sometimes might sound a little easier to do than it actually is to do. So that's what brings us to our spiritual tool number 1, which can really help you with that, which is learning to simply pause. When those things begin to happen to you in life and you begin to feel like, this is just starting to stress me out, or this is really bringing me into a little bit of anger or ego or whatever it is, if you learn to, instead of reacting, simply pause and take a moment within yourself and allow yourself to acknowledge the situation for what it is, and then taking that even one step further and thinking, what a pleasure this is. That kind of takes it next level, because when you first pause, it takes you out of the mode of just being reactive. Someone yelled at you, so you yell at them, or maybe you're the type of person, someone yells at you, so you just shut down and try to retreat from the situation. Instead of both of those options, choose option C, which is where you pause. And then with that next level of it being what a pleasure, what you're wanting to do is to figure out, what is this situation teaching me right now? This situation is happening very specifically to teach me something. Even the road rage that you may encounter as you're driving around and someone cuts you off and you feel like every single person isn't letting you in, and you feel like every driver on the road seems to be a crazy driver, even those moments are there to teach you something. And when you first pause and then you start to look at the situation and you think, what a pleasure this is a moment to bring light into myself. It's through the challenges that we face in life that we have these amazing opportunities to be able to reveal the light in our life. And the bigger the challenges and the harder it may seem at first to overcome, the greater the possibility of the miraculous light levels coming in and flooding through your life. So the next time something begins to trigger you in any way, simply pause instead of reacting and think, what a pleasure this is. What is this here to teach me? And you'll notice that some things start to shift and happen in your life. The secret to ending any negative patterns that are going on in your life is to pull yourself out of that reactive consciousness. I see so often with so many people that they get caught up in the mode of reacting. This happened, so I did this. That happened, so I did this. And if you're reacting, then in some capacity, you're acting like a victim in life because you're feeling like, because so-and-so did this or that, or because this or that happened to you, then you just have to react in a certain way. But you are no victim. You are an amazing being of light, filled with such tremendous levels of strength within you. I know I see it in each and every single one of you. And the secret to ending those negative patterns is to pull yourself out of that reactive consciousness and to simply pause and think, what a pleasure this is. This has something to teach me. My neighbor just came over and yelled at me, and I'm going to pause and I'm going to breathe and I'm going to think, what a pleasure this is, because if it's something triggering me a lot, then I know there's a lot of light that's going to open up as I stop reacting. Anytime that you're in reactive consciousness, where you are just reacting in whatever way comes to mind, whatever way ego kind of guides you with it, you are in that moment being controlled by either external lack or internal lack. External lack is that point where we feel like, well, they have so much, or this has such an, so much capacity within it, and I don't have that. Or if I had this, then I could do that. Or if that was in my resource, then certainly I would act this way, but I don't. So I won't. So I'll react instead, and bringing up that kind of victim consciousness or lack consciousness. The internal lack is where you feel like that you don't have the self-confidence maybe, or you have doubt in yourself, or you feel like those inner qualities aren't things that you possess. So instead it becomes easier, it feels like, to be in reactive consciousness. But it's not really easier, because honestly, when you're in reactive consciousness, instead of pausing and choosing how to be proactive and to consciously choose what it is you're going to say, that reactive consciousness is digging away at you. It's pulling away your power. It's making it so that you are no longer in the power within yourself, and then you're giving that up. So don't give up your power. Instead, pause. Pause puts you back into yourself. It puts you into the present moment where you have all of your power, and then you can consciously choose what you're going to do, how you're going to react. And so whenever you feel yourself being pulled up to react, and you feel that trigger telling you, no, just it's okay in this instance. You have the right to act this way, or you have the right to just lash out, or you have the right to do whatever reaction feels like it's calling you. Pause and know that that is simply the illusion of lack that is causing you to want to react that way. So don't allow that illusion to come over you. Pull back into your own personal power and simply pause. It is something that will be very easy to do once you practice it a few times. It may feel like at first it's hard, and you might notice at first when you decide, I'm just going to pause each time I feel that trigger, I'm going to pause instead of react. You might notice that you miss the mark sometimes, and that's okay. We're all human, and we're trying to, when you're doing this, you're retraining your brain so that you can end those negative patterns that aren't working for you in life. So ending those negative patterns simply by pausing and then learning to ask, what a pleasure, thinking within yourself, what a pleasure this is that this is happening. There are two primary modes in life that we do with all of our behavior and all of the ways we act in life. One of those is to be proactive. When you are being proactive, that means you're consciously choosing, what is it you're going to say? What are the right words? How are you going to act? What is it that the voice of your soul is telling you? Whenever you're being proactive, it's being similar to the light. It's allowing the light of your soul to come out, listening to the voice of your soul instead of the voice of ego, instead of the voice of the opponent that we'll get to in just a moment. Whenever you are reactive, that means you're being different from the light, which usually comes a bit from ego, as well as that illusion of lack. So really learning how to differentiate those this week, really pay attention. Are you being reactive? Are you being proactive? How is that serving you in your life? Think about the moments that you've had in your life where you have been really reactive, and you may have felt justified in the moment that, well, yes, of course I acted this way. And you may talk to your friends and your friends say, well, yes, of course you could act that way. That makes sense because they were in the wrong and you should react like that. But that's ego, and that's letting you be different from the light. And when you're doing that, you're not letting the light in, and you're missing these amazing windows of incredible opportunity. But instead, allow yourself to pause so that you can be proactive and fully present within your personal power and listening to the voice of the soul instead. So the spiritual rule number 2 is to know that your life is a perfect plan designed to help you with your soul's correction or your tikkun. So again, your life is a perfect plan. Every single thing that is going on in your life is designed to help you with your soul's correction, or your tikkun is the other word for that. We've talked about that a little bit in some of the other videos because we all have a tikkun, and we have actually multiple tikkuns in our lives. It's a Kabbalistic concept where this is the lesson, a primary lesson that you came here on this earth plane to learn. And the tikkun is sometimes a little bit of a painful process too, because it's our biggest challenges. It's the thing that we came here to learn. We came here to this earth not just to always have it being an easy ride and everyone always treats you magnificently and everything falls into your lap and it's just perfect and it's all smiles, sunshine, and rainbows. Because if it was, one, you wouldn't recognize how good the things were, because the degree that we can feel joy is the level that we have felt those harder, deeper depths, whether it was sorrow, pain, growth, whatever. That's where we get our growth. And then those become our markers of how bad things are and that's how good things can get as well. And our soul's correction is, or the tikkun, is also the part of us that wants to continue, not just in this life, but throughout all of our lives. We come down to this planet to figure out, how do we want to do things in this 3D world of form? What types of challenges do you want to have to come your way so that you can learn and so that you can grow from those? And when we're here, though, we may choose those things when we're on the other side. But so often when we come here and we're in this body, it feels very hard and it feels very heavy, and we forget, and we may even think, why on earth would I ever have wanted to have these challenges come to me in this life? I don't think so. But really, the reason it's happening is because your soul knows that you can handle it. On the other side, you were filled with the light and you were recognizing all of the options that were available. And so you came down here, and our tikkun usually shows up first in early childhood. So those things that bother you the most, that trigger you the most, you can probably look back and think back to those instances that happened with your family, especially when you were younger, and noticing that those challenges started to happen to you then in those early days. And then they started happening in other ways, and they started triggering you in other ways as you got older. And whether it's issues about trust, or issues about control, or issues about how do you feel love, or issues about how do you learn to express yourself. And maybe you're somebody that is trying to learn how to express yourself, and you find yourself frequently surrounded by people that are shouting at you or yelling at you or telling you that you're not right or that you don't know different things. And so you have to really work to pull yourself out of that soup of self-doubt and worry and anxiety and whatever the issues are. But when you start to learn and you figure out what your tikkun is, what your biggest lessons are in this life, this magical thing starts to happen where you begin to see the opportunities around you for what they are. You begin to recognize that when you pause, when you feel reacted and where you want to react, and you pause and you think, what a pleasure this is. It's here to teach me something. This is going to be good. I'm going to figure out what this lesson is. And you can start putting the puzzle pieces together, because you'll notice that very frequently those reactions that you have are going to be specifically about kind of in the same theme of things. And so as you start figuring out what that theme is, and you start looking back possibly even to when you were younger and figuring out, how long has this tikkun been with you? How long has this challenge been trying to show you that you can rise up and you can find your personal power within it? You can learn more about yourself and you can overcome and correct those issues within your soul, gaining greater depth of wisdom and so many other amazing things as you allow that light to then come into your soul. And it allows you to step into the next part with the spiritual tool number 2, where you begin to ask, why is this in my movie? And those things that trigger you the most, that seem to come up more frequently, or maybe they came up a little bit before and now it seems like the lessons are hitting harder and harder and harder. Those are the things you're going to want to look at and think, why is this in my movie? If you want to take it another step farther, why would I have chosen this? Why did I choose this for my life when I was on the other side? No, you are not crazy. No, you didn't take on more than you can handle. This is so that you can have tremendous growth. The bigger the challenge, the bigger the growth that's going to come. And you are the director in your movie. So when you start to recognize that you have the ability to pause, you don't need to react, you don't need to listen to the illusion of lack, whether internal or external lack, and you start realizing, feel yourself in the director chair of your movie and know that you, in some fashion on the other side, you called in all these players that are in your life right now, the ones that you love, that make you really happy, as well as the ones that drive you a bit crazy. Those are all part of this amazing and perfect plan for you to be at this exact moment in this life right now, where you are asking, why is this in my movie? And as you ask, why is this in my movie? You begin to start recognizing what it is that you're here to correct and what it is that you're here to begin to shift and change. And this week, I want you to, at least once a day, if you want to do it 5 or 6 times a day, that'd be even better. At least once a day, translate your external challenges into internal messages of tikkun. So basically by that, what I want you to do is to think about, what is it that is challenging you, that feels like it's outside of you, that maybe you feel like is out of your control? And how do you turn that message inward and look at it within yourself and think, okay, if this is happening outside of me, but it's in my life, what is this here to teach me? What is this about my internal soul's lesson, my internal aspect within myself on the deepest core levels? What is this here to teach me? You can look at some of the really big issues. Maybe you have some really big, maybe something feels like a lot of drama in your life right now, or it feels like there's some overwhelming issues. You can look at that. You can even look at some of the small things. I know a lot of people get triggered by road rage and feeling that sense of like every time they're on the road, they may feel like the drivers are worse than they were the time before that they were out. And they may feel like every time a car cuts them off, it feels like 20 just cut them off. And they feel like they're not sure where that car is going to come from around the corner that they didn't see, that didn't see them, that just seems to appear way too close. So if you have issues like that, that may just seem like day-to-day issues, those are also big things to look at when you're looking at, what are these external issues and what are they teaching you about that internal level for your soul's correction within yourself. And so as you look at that, for the road rage example, how's it making you feel when you're dealing with the road rage? Does it feel like you're out of control? Does it feel like it is like all of the people that are around you just aren't paying attention to you? Does it feel like you seem invisible? Do you feel like you seem invisible to people in other points of life? Does it make you feel unsafe? Are there other points in your life where you worried about feeling safe? Sometimes it might be any of those, or it might be a combination feelings of safety, feelings of control. Are there parts in your life where you just feel like you want to take control of a lot of things, and there are just some things that slip past you and you're not sure why everyone else can't just get on board and pay attention and do things the right way? Maybe there's some issues of control within your soul's cocoon, because not everyone sees traffic that way. And I think a lot of times we get these blinders on ourselves where we feel like, well, of course, everyone has to deal with this, because look around. There's all these crazy people around us, whether it's the people in the grocery store that seem to always get too close or bump into you, or whatever it is that drives you crazy on those little levels every day. Think about those this week and really put words to it. Don't just think about it in your head. Either say it out loud or write it down, because when you say it out loud or you write it down, you're having to put solid, concrete, real words to it, which is going to make a much bigger difference for you in being able to get to the bottom of it and addressing your soul's cocoon. So pausing, thinking to yourself, what a pleasure this is. Even if at first you're thinking that sarcastically, what a pleasure this is. Start saying that within yourself, and then asking, why is this in my movie? Because it is for a reason. The big things and the little things, they're all there for a reason. And as you start to see it, you start pulling your power back, being in the director chair of your life. And then that is going to bring you to our third spiritual rule. Overcoming the opponent within reveals the power of our soul. The opponent within is, sometimes I refer to that as the voice of the opponent. The opponent within is the one that tells us, you probably can't do that. No, I don't think you have what you need for that. Yeah, you're not quite good enough for that. Or they have more and you don't, or things like that. When you overcome the voice of the opponent and the false illusions and the negative lies that the opponent will try to tell you to hold you back, then you begin to regain the power of your soul. So the spiritual tool that helps with that is simply observing the voice of the opponent. Because when you start to recognize and you observe the voice of the opponent within yourself, then you're able to really pull your power back. Because so often that voice of the opponent gets going in people's heads, and they start thinking fear, illusion, lack, doubt, worry, concern, anxiety, depression, all of those different things. Sometimes people will run conversations over and over and over in their head, and they turn into conversations that didn't actually even really happen. They start to think that they know what this person feels about them or what that person is thinking about them. And they're not necessarily even true at all. It's the voice of the opponent that's in your head. And the more the voice of the opponent can hold on to that power and allow you to believe the illusion of lack, fear, or doubt, the more that it is able to keep you from being able to receive the light. Because when you stay in that mode of being weighted down, heavy, restless, uncomfortable, depressed, any of that, it keeps you in this veil of darkness where you don't see all of the light that is readily available to you, within you, and accessible to you at all times. That light is always there. So start recognizing the voice of the opponent. As soon as you hear that voice of the opponent, whether it's doubt, fear, lack, worry, anxiety, depression, anything that is not like the light, then think about what it was that it said and say no to it. You might even find that you need to say no out loud to it at first to really silence that voice of the opponent. And the more you start shutting it down and just saying, nope, not true. Nope, not true. No, not happening, it's going to start to go away. And as that goes away, as that starts to quiet down more, automatically the voice of the soul begins to find its voice, and the voice of the soul rises up, and the voice of the soul starts to get louder and louder. And the voice of the soul always speaks the truth of the light. The voice of the soul sees and knows that you are limitless, that you have access to all of the resources that you need, and that you already have everything that you need within yourself. Yes, even in this life, in this body, at this time, you already have access to everything that you need. And as you start shutting down the voice of the opponent, you start to be able to access the voice of the soul, and you'll start listening to the voice of the soul more, and you'll start recognizing and seeing the tremendous amount of opportunities that are always around you. It's as though you'll be able to see the light everywhere because you're hearing it, you're feeling it, you're knowing it, that it's already there within you. So as you begin to overcome the opponent, it automatically reveals the power of the soul within you. The job of the opponent is very specifically one thing. That is to make you feel like you are separated from the light. And that is a complete lie. It is fully illusion. It is not true. You're made of the light. It's what you are. It's who you are, and you have full access to it here now. But you have to shut down the voice of the opponent and stop reacting to everything so that you can hear the voice of the light shining through you, and the voice of your soul that's already in you, that's part of you, that's who you are. So as you're thinking about, okay, how do I implement all of these steps? I'm going to assume you're all really excited about this, and you're ready to start your week off right and to really implement all of these actions. So the first thing, just to recap, is to pause. Every time you feel anything triggering you this week, through the coming weeks, through the coming months, pause. Begin to ask, think, what a pleasure this is. Why is this in my movie? It has something here to teach you. Every single challenge is here to teach you something. Simply pausing brings your power back into yourself. Thinking what a pleasure allows you to wipe out that negativity as you recognize the opportunity that is here. The greater the challenge, the greater the opportunity for miraculous light to be flooding into you. Asking, why is this in my movie? Because you are the director of your movie. So ask, why did this happen today? Why is this in my movie? Not from a victim standpoint, but from a standpoint of, I, at some level, wanted this to happen today because I'm ready to learn this lesson, to move through this, to find my strength, to reveal the light of my soul. From that point of view, why is this in my movie? And then observing the voice of the opponent, because the voice of the opponent can sometimes become very sneaky, trying to get in there and say, oh yeah, sure, you got this. But did you realize this is not so good over here? You can realize, no, I see that too, and that's okay. And no, I'm not seeing it as a negative. This is good. There's something here to teach me, and I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to move on, and you're going to start feeling the voice of the soul speaking through to you. Embrace the process as you're going through this. Know that you are not alone. You have so much love around you, within you, from the light of the universe, and you can ask the light to help. You can ask the angels to help, or whatever word you have for it. You can ask it to help you through this whole process, and you'll find that you feel the loving essence of the light wrapping around you and allowing you to see that you've got this. You have it. And then being able to be proactive puts you in the place of personal power, where you are no longer giving away your power to being victim of circumstance or anything else. Instead, taking transformative action. I know that you can do this. You are creating your life. So it's all in your hands. What will you choose? Will you listen to the voice of the opponent, or will you say no to the voice of the opponent over and over and over until your voice of your soul gets louder and louder and louder? Are you going to react to things when they come your way? Or are you going to pause and think, okay, maybe all I can do in this moment is pause and take a breath. And maybe in the next moment you say, what a pleasure this is. Why is this in my movie? You can do this. You are creating your life. It's all up to you. Choose knowing what it is that you're going to choose. We have complete and total free will while we're here in this place, in this plane. And I believe in you. So know that you have at least one person out there that is fully 100% believing in you and knowing that you can do this, that you've got this. If you're interested in learning more about these tools and spiritual rules and tools, and a lot of more incredible guidance, there's a class that I do recommend. I don't normally mention a lot of classes outside of the ones that I teach myself, but Kabbalah.com, you can see that on your screen there, the spelling for that, Kabbalah.com has a number of classes, and the one that I would recommend for anybody starting out would be Kabbalah 1. Within Kabbalah 1, it's a 10-week class, and you're going to learn 10 spiritual rules and tools that will be the foundation that will change everything that you do in your life and the way that you do those things. They're even being very, very amazing right now in light of COVID, knowing that everyone's situation is different. And sometimes this has been a very trying time for people. And so they do have a pay what you can scale for it too. If you're not able to afford the class fee, they do offer different scholarships, and you can just pay what you can as you test it out and try that Kabbalah 1 course. They always have new ones that are starting, so I do highly recommend that. And I just want to let each and every one of you know how much I appreciate you. Here at Earth and Sky Center, we have a mission of helping people to find the love and know the love that is already within them, helping them reach their highest potential through that essence of the light and the light of love. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We always have a ton of classes going on here at Earth and Sky, based in Michigan, as well as traveling throughout the US and Canada, and hopefully to be adding in Europe within the next couple of years. So if you'd like to have me come speak where you are, please feel free to reach out to us as well. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy implementing these tools as you regain your personal power and allow the light to flow into yourself. Have a great week.